My name is Steph, and I am the owner and operator of Southwest Bids Limited, a web accessibility consulting company or agency that's here to help you on your digital accessibility journey. So, what I want to do today is I've given a high level overview of this process, and I want to actually walk you through what a low level audit would look like working with me and give you a bit more in depth look at some of the templates, the packet, and things like that that you would receive from me um, in this work. So the packet I'm using, I've already started to put it together, put the template together. So here's the baseline information. There is, I offer up a maturity model workshop that I can do with business owners and executives, that type of thing. I'm not covering that today. Basically, this is just the audit, no VPAT authoring or anything like that. I will call out though that this, if you do purchase this service from me, you can add the VPAT audit on for an extra service as well. And the process is extremely similar to what you'd experience here. So as I showed in the high level audit, there would be this template that you go through. Of course, I give you, a quick look over the website. You'll notice this particular window is incognito. And then I've got another window open over here that is not incognito. Typically when I do this, I like to use several different tools, one of which is Chrome's built-in Lighthouse. And that is usually best used when you are incognito mode, especially if you have a lot of extensions, which I actually do. You'll see here there's a ton of extensions already, including a Wave accessibility browser that I can show you here in a little while. So first things first, typically if you are a customer or you're reaching out because I've reached out to you, you'll find something like this. I've probably done a scan with this company. I will call out, they allow you to do 2 free scans per day on any domain. So long as it's not like a redirect or anything like that. So I actually have not done this process on the newest version of Southwest Bits. I've done all of it for my personal website, thestephaniemiranda.com, but not this new version. So going through it live with me today, a very bold move on my behalf, I have to say, but this is what we're doing. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start this scan off. As you can see, it's going to do its magic. And as that's doing its process, I'm going to go ahead and also start up Lighthouse, do a little bit of multitasking here. And so you'll see all I did was just a right click on Lighthouse. And when the inspect came up, or when that window came up, I chose to inspect, and then I come over here to Lighthouse. And you can choose quite a few different things. I'm only going to audit the desktop version of this today. The process would be very similar for a mobile situation, and I would typically use the mobile option when I'm testing on mobile. But basically for this should be fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and analyze this page. And what this does is you'll see it's reloading in the background and it'll do all the things. And here's my live report. So just for transparency's sake, I did not directly build this website. I have a background as a website builder and all those types of things. If you'd like to see what that looks like, you can check out this web page. Gives you a little bit more in depth about me and all of those things. Links back to my company, Southwest Bits. So this version, Southwest Bits, is actually built using an Equid store. And I did that so that I had a better way of selling these cards and my prints, because through my personal site, I've gone through several different versions of this art gallery situation, and it was not working out well. If you've gone through the journey with me or followed any of my LinkedIn posts, blog posts, any of that, you'll know this page has gone through the paces, and the Equid store that you see here, this is actually also embedded in this page. It's just going to take some time to come through because I've got so much going on. So anyways, that's the story behind the inspiration of how we got to a Southwest Bits version, why I'm on an Equid site, and why I'm going ahead and doing a whole new uh, compliance audit and everything, because I am not in control of the documents, the HTML, JavaScript, and things the way that I am with this particular version of my website and consulting. So the Equid site links back here, and back and forth. There's everything links back and forth beautifully. But you'll see it's very different, right? One looks different and all those types of things. So back to the audit. This site is fantastic. I really enjoy using this tool. I'm not a fan of the recommendations that it gives over here. These are AI tools. You can check out my blog posts, and I will be putting something else up on Southwest Bits Limited about these AI tools. But suffice to say, the TLDR is I'm not a big fan of these AI tools. I don't believe in their usefulness. And very soon I will get some blog posts and reports out on what that belief is based on. So back to this audit, you'll see here I got a 71. Typically they want to see you with like an 85. It looks like they've changed it now. They want you at a 90. This site is testing for, just again for transparency's sake, since we're doing the full audit, I'm going to go ahead and make some edits here. We're doing this today is the 8th, and for my company and my purposes, I'm shooting for a AA, and I want to be at least 2.1 compliant. So what that means when we're choosing this as a business owner, we have full autonomy to choose what works well for us. For me, this is the background and everything. If you'd like to know more about the inspiration and why I chose that, those particular levels, absolutely can share that with you. And then I'd go ahead and put this in here. I'm testing on a mid. Don't laugh. 2012 MacBook Pro. Yes, it's a mid 2012 and going strong, my friends. And then the operating system is Catalina. Catalina. 15.x.x, something like that. And then I'm using a Chrome browser, version x.x.x. And then again, I'll test on Safari as well later. We may not get to that in this video, but I will include that in these tests later. So you'll see here we did the ADA check, accessibility checker here. I'm going to go ahead and download this report. Let's see. Well, I'll download it later. But for now, I will go ahead and take just a quick little screen grab of what we got on this page. And one of the reasons why I like to use this tool in particular is it gives you all these items, right? And you're like, cool, what are these items? Well, if we click into the different items, it'll show you, okay, here's some code, and basically like here's what's wrong, and just so on and so forth. So what this is saying is the background and the foreground colors are not sufficient in ratio difference. So what I would expect to see, because I got that flag, is if when I use this wave tool, I would expect to see a similar contrast background issue. And this will show you a little bit like example code of where it fails and how give you some ideas on how you can go and fix it and why it's a problem, so on and so forth. Great. That's fantastic. It'll also give you the little individual, like, here's some pieces that it's passing, where it's not passing, so on and so forth. The other part that I really appreciate is here are the manual audits that you need to do. And it goes in more depth and in more detail. Okay, go into these little pieces and check each one. Do we have the ARIA labeled properly in each of those items? Custom controls. So does basically when you see something like that, like this, what Equid calls this, it's a promo slider. And so this button, it's a control, right? But you'll notice on each one of these sliders, they're not the same. I left a shop now button here and I left one here, but it's not on all of them. So one of the reasons I'm likely getting flagged is one, that's inconsistent, and two, because those are there, they're not labeled properly or customized, right? So it's those types of things, but again, handy tool gives you a good idea overall of sort of where you land on that scale. This is a really great comparison tool to go against and sort of look against. I'm not really sure about this performance. I'm wondering, potentially some of that is the JavaScript. It can, you can get into some of those things. But my goal today is to look at accessibility. So according to Lighthouse, I'm passing beautifully except for the background, right? So again, I'm being called out for this background and all of that. And I'm going to tell you very likely why that's happening is probably because I'm using my brand colors as highlight colors and things, which is typically not a good design choice, but that's what I did, and that was my choice, and I can do that. It's my business, and I could do that. So technically, all of those things passed, right? I passed the high level audit. I'm getting background issues, which I expect to see from both tools. I'm going to go one step further now and actually fully pull up this wave tool. Now, the company that makes this tool is also, they're not the same company, but they help with writing the WCAG standards that we follow. And so it's an extremely useful tool to have as an extension on your Chrome web browser. I don't believe you can put it on Safari, but don't quote me on that. I don't have it there for now. I will get it there eventually. So some nifty things that you can do with this tool, it is going to show you those ARIA labels, right? So ARIA labels are used by screen readers to help call out things. And what it does is it helps make sure that the order comes through in the proper way that we would expect it to. So what this is, that order is the order in which a screen reader will read through what it sees on the web page. So this is the order that the screen reader will read out information. It'll go through and click on different items, all of those types of things, read out all this different information. So a few things that I would do differently, and I will eventually go in and update, is like, this information is likely going to be skipped over. You're only getting those buttons and things like that. So some of that background information is going to be missing when we get that. So you'll see here it did a high level. Here's your summary. Here's some alerts that you can look at, and here's all the ARIA labels, so on and so forth. It is calling out again. There's a contrast error. What's the contrast error? What's going on? So when we look at that, again, I said we could look at it a little more deeply. Calls it out here, very low contrast, and voila, it's this right here. If I change this to black text the way it is up here, this passed, but this is not passing. So if I change that, it'll fix it, right? So fantastic way to see things. Here's some alerts, and again, it'll take you step by step through here and show you, here are those alerts. Here's an issue, and going deeper and deeper into like what is there and available. So one of the other things I like about this wave tool specifically is that within the details, you can actually get even deeper into the information and pull up, okay, which level is it affecting? Is it failing something that's a AAA standard? Then this doesn't apply to me. But as we can clearly see here, I am sitting, it does affect the AA standard and 1.33. So what I'll do is, because I've got that already pulled up, I know it's failing. I don't have to look at anything and it's color, like I'm a human. I'm not going to be able to see that. So I'm going to go over here into my report and I'm going to say this is failing. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Cool beans. And then some of the other things, if you've followed along what I do and what interests folks of all of that, I have actually done what I call the pour method. Let me see if I could pull that up. Let me see. Well, I do have, it's the best way to get there. I know, we'll go here. We'll do this. So I'm going to show you just the blog. Go to the blog. And when you work with me, I will, in that initial, I skipped over this a little bit, or I skimmed over it because it's in my head, but it is actually a part of this process. So I'll go over what I call the pour method. And I have it pulled up here. You can download this, you can go through this process on your own and come back to me if you'd like to go further in this process. But I've been doing the pour method very frequently since I published this version of the Southwest Bits. It's part of why I skimmed over it. And also, I know that these things are all passing at this point in time. So because I am working on this audit and I've already done those checks before, I'm going to go ahead and say pass on that one. I know it's not getting keyboard trapped anywhere. I don't have any videos, but it is something that applies under the AA or AA. So I do need to make sure I'm passing that one. And so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't have any other flashing things or anything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that passes. So just with those few items, you can see here, boom, I'm passing the pour method. And then for A guidelines, just using those automated tools, I'm up to a 12% rate. And then none of this is passing so far. So this is this pass right here is for like all of the above and beyond bits. So it's a little bit more intense and complex, but this is the number that we're going to be watching specifically. We want this to be at a remediate or a passing space or support space. So let's keep going through this. And as you can see here, the way that I've set up these tables is pretty nifty. A lot of other tools will have these as fully separate tables and things like that. I really needed a much simpler way to follow along. So we have alt text on all of our images. It's fantastic, but what we can see here is that we've got some issues with headings and labels. And so if we want to learn more about it, we want to go deeper into what's going on, which, by the way, this checklist or this table that I'm using is based off of this checklist that just got pulled up. So we want to look at this piece of it. We want to avoid duplicate headings and labels and text and things like that. So again, because this is an Equid store, likely what it's calling out, and I could probably go ahead and click, yeah, boom, boom, boom. So what this is calling out is the headings up here for like on each of these promo sliders. So I'd have to go into Equid and update that because that's just what I'd have to do. So 1.1, context level, let's see, is there none, is there some? What makes this passing and what makes it not passing, right? So there's nothing that's conveying those things as something different. We can see the ARIA labels are coming up, but not the not the other things. So I'm going to go ahead and download this summary, print it, I'm going to save it, and I'm just going to save it onto the desktop. Cool. All right, that's done. So because I've got the inspection pulled up, what I can do now, because I'm already in this process, I'm going through the methods, the motions, I can actually look at the alt text. So I can pull up, now that I've got all this lighthouses done and situated, I can do some really quick search for alt text, right? And then, see, nothing's coming up for alt text. And over here, we want to be looking for alternative text, and this is saying there's issues with alt equals, so we want to look for actually alt equals. And it's not showing up. So that's failing. There's no alt text on any of the images, it looks like. And over here, this report is calling it out as a warning or an alert. Something's going on with it, it's redundant. So the way that we would classify that is it is partially there because the ARIA labels are there, so some things would get read out aloud, but it's not 100% passing because the alt text isn't there. And alt text is a little bit different than ARIA labels. They're treated a little bit differently by different web browsers, things like that. So let's keep going right along. Audio, video. Again, I don't have any video or audio on this, so we're just going to say it passes. Nothing is pre-recorded or no videos, no things like that. So again, I'm going to say it passes. One of the things that I would say here is, or a good example of this passing or not passing would be, one of the things that I do with this website is I have a YouTube channel. And so let's say that I had embedded some of the videos from my YouTube channel into this main page, so that way folks could see all of this stuff much more easily, right? So with those embedded videos, if the captions are auto-generated or any of that kind of stuff, that's what this is specifically looking at. Again, same thing here. I'm going to say pass. One of the things that I do need to do some updates and looking on here is partial or NA, adding that into this. Because I don't have these things, technically those should be not applicable, but it's okay. I'm just going to say they don't pass. At this point, live captions, again, I don't have it, so it passes. 2.2, audio description pre-recorded, it passes because I don't have it. And then the remaining items here are all AAA pieces, so I don't need any of those to be documented in the overall score on whether or not this is accessible or not. And there we go. So there's the first two sections and a good idea of how I would go in, how these things are measured, weighted, what it looks like as it progresses through those steps. So at this point, if I stopped right here, left all the to-dos, we're at 10%, we need some effort, some things done here. So, and I've given you a pretty good idea of the way that I go through this process and weigh out the pros and cons of what it is that's being called out. So what I'll do here is mention in the comments, need to turn white text on orange, black to pass. And there we go. And everything else, again, we're not trying to meet a AAA level, so none of those things will apply here. And that is really how I'd go through it. It did take me a little bit of time to get through these first few pieces. I believe it's taken me, we've been recording 20 minutes. Oh no, I don't think I've been recording at all. Oh yeah, I have been recording. So, if you are interested in going through this process or having me go through this process for your company to get a score on where your website lands on the scale of accessibility, feel free to reach out. And if an audit is not something that you're looking for, or you need an audit and a VPAT, I can also go ahead and complete that VPAT process for you. So the way this is set up, excuse me, is also pretty much almost exactly what you'd get in a VPAT scenario with me. I would do an audit of my own and then be able to answer questions more in depth on what that looks like, and the report would be very similar. And a letter would be provided that you can link to your website, provide to folks who are asking, so on and so forth. So again, if you're interested in what this looks like and going through the process or having me go through the process for your website, feel free to reach out, and thank you for your time.